ever feel like you're drowning in data? Like you're standing in front of this massive mountain of information, and you have no idea where to even like begin to make sense of it all.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. It's a common challenge in this age of, big data and all that.
Totally. And today, we're tackling that challenge head on as we dive into the world of, data storage and management.
We'll be comparing two of the biggest players in the game, traditional databases, the trusty workhorse we all know, and then, of course, there's blockchain, which always seems to be surrounded by, like, a whirlwind of hype.
It's true. Blockchain is often touted as this like revolutionary solution to, well, almost everything. But is it really all it's cracked up to be?
It's definitely a powerful tool, that's for sure. But like any tool, it has its, strengths and weaknesses.
Right. So to really understand where blockchain shines, we need to like put it head to head with its more, shall we say, seasoned competitor, the traditional database. For those of us who might not be, database experts, can you give us a quick rundown of how these traditional systems actually work?
Sure. Imagine a really well-organized library. Everything's in its place, meticulously categorized.
Yeah, with the Dewey Decimal System and all that.
Exactly. That's kind of what a traditional database is like. Information is structured in these neat rows and tables. This centralized structure, usually managed by a single entity, makes it super efficient for tasks like processing transactions or, making sure your bank balance updates instantly when you use your debit card.
They're talking about systems like MySQL or Oracle, right? Towering tons of applications we use every single day. But this whole centralized control thing, while it sounds efficient, doesn't it also come with like inherent risks?
It does. Because everything is controlled from a single point, if that point is compromised, the whole system is vulnerable. It's like a single lock on a vault. If someone gets the key, they have access to everything.
Okay, that makes sense. So how does blockchain address this vulnerability? How's it different?
Blockchain throws the whole centralized model out the window. Instead of storing data in one central location, it distributes it across a whole network of computers. It's like having a digital ledger that's not just in one vault, but it's copied and spread across countless computers all over the place.
So instead of one lock, you've got like a million locks scattered across the globe.
Basically, this distributed nature is what makes it so secure and transparent. Every single change to a blockchain, whether it's a transaction or an update, has to be verified and recorded across the entire network. This makes it incredibly difficult for anyone to tamper with the data.
So that's where the whole decentralization buzzword comes in, right?
Exactly. No single entity controls the data. Everyone on the network has a copy of the ledger, and they all have to agree on any changes. This consensus mechanism is what makes blockchains so tamper-proof or, immutable, as they say in the tech world.
This immutability thing, it sounds like it could be a game changer, especially when you're dealing with, like, really sensitive information.
Absolutely. Think about something like, digital voting.
Ooh, that's a hot topic.
Blockchain's immutability could potentially make election manipulation nearly impossible, which would obviously boost trust and transparency in the process.
Right. It'd be a lot harder to rig an election if every vote was, like, permanently recorded and couldn't be altered.
Exactly.
So it sounds like we've got these two fundamentally different systems, each with its own set of strengths. How do we know which one is the right fit for a given situation?
Well, traditional databases are still the way to go when speed, flexibility, and the ability to quickly update data are essential.
So what kind of situations are we talking about?
Think e-commerce platforms that are processing, millions of transactions every day or managing inventory levels that are constantly fluctuating. Those scenarios need systems that can keep up.
They're like the well-oiled machines of the data world, right?
Yeah.
Efficient, reliable.
Precisely. But then you have blockchain, which really comes into play when trust, transparency, and security are paramount.
So what, like, real-world problems can blockchain solve that traditional databases can't?
Well, one really interesting example is supply chain management. You know how some companies are using blockchain to track products from their origin all the way to the store shelf?
Yeah, I've seen a few headlines about that.
It's pretty cool. It means that consumers could potentially trace their coffee back to the specific farm it came from or verify that the clothes they're buying were produced ethically. That level of transparency is pretty powerful.
Well, giving consumers X-ray vision into the supply chain, right?
Exactly. And that's something that traditional databases just can't really offer in the same way.
Okay, so we've talked about the strengths, but no technology is perfect, right? What are some of the drawbacks or limitations of each system?
Well, with traditional databases, the biggest concerns are still security and trust. As I mentioned earlier, that centralized control makes them vulnerable to data breaches. And then there's the issue of trust. You're basically putting all your faith in the entity that's controlling the database to keep your information safe and secure.
Yeah, no system is foolproof. What about blockchain? What are the trade-offs there?
Blockchain's biggest hurdles are speed and scalability. Remember how we talked about how every single transaction needs to be verified across the entire network? Well, that process, while super secure, takes time.
So it's a trade-off, right? More security, but at the cost of speed.
Exactly. And then there's scalability. As more and more people use blockchain applications, the network can get bogged down, which can slow things down even more. Figuring out how to scale these applications to handle massive amounts of data is still a major challenge for the technology.
So it's a bit like the tortoise and the hare,
Right.
right? The traditional database might be faster in the short term, but the blockchain, with its security and transparency, could be the one that wins the race in the long run.
That's a great analogy. And like with most things in life, there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
True, true. So to wrap things up, it seems like choosing between a blockchain and a traditional database ultimately comes down to understanding the specific needs of your data.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what are your priorities? Is it speed, efficiency, the ability to change things on the fly? Or is it more about trust, immutability, knowing that the information can't be tampered with?
Once you figure out what matters most, the right technological solution should become much clearer.
Exactly. Do your research, weigh your options, and don't believe the hype.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for breaking it all down for us. Until next time, everyone, keep those data mountains in check.
Keep asking those tough questions.